Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Kind of several things I wanted to cover this morning, not any one particular one. It was just too much to decide on what to talk about on my morning walk. First thing is to remind you, because I know how the news cycles go, and it's easy to forget, or at least not to be thinking about it. And that's the tornadoes down in Mississippi. Please continue to remember those folks in prayers. I'm sure that you've probably all seen some footage of it. If you haven't, certainly go over to Bear Independent YouTube channel. He's down there, and my goodness, it's devastating to see entire rows of houses just completely gone. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just, I think he said it looks like someone lined up a bunch of bulldozers and just drove them right through the city. It's pretty devastating. So remember the families in prayer that's down there, that's gone through that, and then also all the volunteers. If you're interested, and I have no affiliation whatsoever, I just know it's a good organization that's down there helping. grindstoneministries.com. If you feel led to donate monetarily, you can donate your time. Maybe you have heavy equipment that could be used down there. grindstoneministries.com. Again, I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just know they do a good job. So please continue that. Also, weather related, this is just a warning. There are several, I noticed yesterday, there are several weather forecasters saying that over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, we as in the country, or at least parts of it, could see some extremely severe weather. I saw one weather forecaster saying yesterday that the looks of it could be the worst string of storms in the last 10 years, going from Texas, Oklahoma, all the way across to Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and everything in between. It did appear to show that the worst would be more concentrated in the boot heel of Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee area, northern Mississippi, western Kentucky. That kind of little area would be the worst of it, but just be prepared. And I mean, this is, we talk about all these sensational things that are happening that we should be prepared for, but my goodness, certainly be prepared for this. This would be a scenario potentially for a bug out. Look at what just happened in Mississippi, and I mean, that's certainly if you were there and heard it was coming, that would certainly be a reason to grab your go bag and get somewhere else for a while. So I just wanted to pass that on because it looks like there's very strong potential storms moving in over the next and building up over the next few weeks. So be on your toes for that one, folks. It's just excuse me. It's just that time of the year, and like I said, the meteorologists were saying that everything looks like it's like a once a decade kind of storm season. So first thing to talk about, and I got to be careful about this one because I just came off of a suspension here on YouTube, and which means that for like 6 months I'm on probation. If I do or say anything that gets me out of line, then they come down even harder on me. So I have to be careful. But this shooting in Nashville is just tragic. And again, pray for those families also. The 3 children's lives were lost, 3 educators, the people that worked in the school. It was a Christian school in Nashville. And, well, as you probably already know, the shooter was part of the trans community. At least that's what the chief of police is saying. So any of you censors watching me, I'm not making any claims. I'm repeating what mainstream news says. Part I have to be a little careful on here on YouTube is that I have said for a long time that this movement is a war on our children. It's been an ideological war, it's been a spiritual war, it's been a war for their hearts and their minds, and of course it's a physical war because of the things that they're promoting to do to children, to, you know, change their bodies and all this kind of stuff. Well, now we've seen at least one person take it to the next step and an act of violence. And who knows if this isn't, you know, if this is just a one lone thing that happens, or is just going to start a string of these kind of things. Because online, and I'm not saying everybody, but I've seen several people that claim to be part of that community, those, you know, the trans people, saying that, well, anyone that is trying to stop or reverse or anything like that, the transition surgeries and stuff, you know, that they deserve I don't know how to say this, the penalty. And of course, Tennessee just passed 3 weeks ago legislation to stop that. And so that's how extreme these folks are, that they think that, you know, you shouldn't be alive. You should, what's the new term? Unalived. That's the new term. It's crazy, but whatever. That you should be unalived because you don't agree with them. And I just wanted to point out how serious this is. I mean, it's serious on many ways and many things. At our local meeting that we had Sunday, I talked for just a few minutes. And one of the things I said, and I think I've said it on here a couple of times too, but, you know, I was talking about just all the stuff that's going on, you know, everything that's happening. I said, so it pushes us to prepare. I said, but in my opinion, even if the whole world was all nice and normal right now, if there were no wars, there was no rumors of wars, if the economy was strong, if the dollar was strong, if the banks were strong, if there was no health crisis that happened or one looming, and, you know, all of this, if everything was normal, and the only thing going on was this war against children, this war against gender and traditions and family, to me, that's enough. Especially the way that it's being done. That would be enough for me to say, man, the world has changed so much. We've got to get really prepared because there's such a radical change going on. It's a serious issue, folks, and I don't want to always put so much focus on all this other stuff that's happening, even though it's very, very important, and not continually, you know, make it an issue and talk about it, of how serious this stuff is. I've already done one video, and as it comes to me, as I have time, I'm going to be producing a longer format, half hour to an hour video over on Rumble, hopefully once a week, talking about traditional families, traditional family values, masculinity, you know, womanhood, manhood, you know, true biblical patriarchal systems. Not what we hear spun around, not, you know, I'm controlling you, you bow down and do, no, none of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that we saw, you know, with the biblical patriarchs, Moses, you know, David, Abraham, Joshua, people that we can look to as as guides and leaders and examples, and even Yeshua himself. So I'll be doing some content like that over on Rumble because it's needed. There's a real vacuum for that kind of stuff, I believe, because you've got one side, you know, the effeminate man, the, you know, transgender, all this kind of stuff. Traditional family values is bad. And then the other side, you have, you know, kind of the Andrew Tate, just ridiculous, beat my chest because I'm a billionaire kind of attitude, and, you know, women should bow down to me. That's what it means to be a man. That kind of stuff. And what we really need to see is what the Bible says about manhood, womanhood, family, because that's what's really missing in the world today. Anyways, on to the last thing to talk about. Another one very important. I've been talking about this quite a bit here lately because I think it's really important. And that's this de-dollarization. What I mean is it's all connected with the banks and the bank failures and inflation and gold and silver and really the whole world, because how we function as a nation, how we're able to go into massive amounts of debt and not really bother us. You know, we're like 32 trillion now almost. Yeah, you know, if things kept going this way and we doubled that, it wouldn't really matter, because the United States is based on a fiat currency, which is a debt-based system. So honestly, as much as you and I hate it, that's how the system works. You know, it's how we're able to go all over the world and spread our military and our ideology and control things, and it's all because of our debt-based system, and that's all because of our dollar. And it's because our dollar is the global reserve currency, the petrodollar, and basically how that works is, I talked about this on Rumble yesterday, but basically how that works is that all these countries out there, well, they're encouraged over the last several decades, compelled, threatened to use our currency, which, you know, grows our currency's value, makes it seem impenetrable. In exchange, they have to basically buy our debt. They buy into the treasury system, and because of that, you know, we basically have this unlimited amount of money, and because everyone accepts it, well, you know, it doesn't really matter what it's backed by or that it's backed by anything, because everyone's buying and investing in United States debt. Well, that system's been changing. China and Saudi Arabia just worked out an agreement to purchase oil using yuan. Kenya and Saudi Arabia worked out a deal to purchase oil with the yuan. And I know that's the petrodollar, not necessarily the global reserve currency, but that's definitely a big part of it. We're watching the dollar start to lose its prominence. And I'll tell you, a good indicator of that is in the last couple of days, both CNN and Fox News, the two probably most major mainstream news sources for the left and the right, have both done stories on their channels of the de-dollarization. Like they're trying to kind of condition or prepare the American people for the fact that the dollar might not reign supreme very much longer. This is a major deal. This will this will very much change everything. I saw someone post a comment yesterday saying, oh, it doesn't matter. The US dollar is the strongest. You know, we have this huge market share of the world. It's never gonna fail. You know, it's actually really strong because we're just so big. We're only so big because we're able to just overproduce our money, even though it has no real value. And the only reason we're able to do that is because people accept it everywhere. And the only reason they do that is because they buy our debt. Because if they don't buy the debt, then they can't get it. They can't get the benefits. I think Kamala Harris is in parts of Africa right now and talking about how much aid packages that they'll send to these countries in Africa. Well, that's part of it. We'll send you some taxpayer-funded aid packages, but you have to buy our debt and you have to use our dollar and trade. And so it compels these countries all over the world to use our currency and to buy our debt so that we can produce more of the money. But when that stops, because people are no longer using our money, because they're using a BRICS currency or the Chinese currency or something else, then they'll stop buying our debt because there's no reason for them to buy it anymore. That's happening also. If you look at the sell-off by countries like China and Japan, which are the two largest holders of US debt, it's significant, okay? So if these countries aren't going to use our currency, they can sell off our debt. They can stop buying our money. They're no longer beholden to that. They want to because they see the dollar dropping. And it's kind of like a, you know, is it the chicken or the egg thing? But either way, they both go hand in hand. They dump US debt and they stop using US money. And then, well, our currency, it has no prominence or is losing its prominence. And even if only part of the world does this, you know, you could be looking at easily 50% of the world in the next year or two dropping the US dollar. That's very significant. That will have great effect on the purchasing power of the money that you have. And eventually, I suspect, it will be the thing that opens the door for CBDC, because if the US dollar is going down and doesn't have the purchasing power, then we need to switch to a digital currency. And so that's when that transition will happen. This is very significant, folks. It's very significant that both Fox News and CNN are running stories on this, conditioning people for a transition away from the US dollar, because the whole world is transitioning away from the US dollar. This is why we need to be doing everything we can to prepare for this, because it's a very major deal. Right now, it's the time to get your houses in order, to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.